Hey everybody. Um, as a teen, when it first came out, I really, really loved the track Layla by Derek and the Dominoes. I love the whole album, with a few exceptions, but I mean, it's a double album. There's almost no bad music on there. Um, just take a quick listen. It's a seven-note line. Just take a listen and see if it reminds you of anything at all. Not this part. That's kind of an answer to the first statement. But here comes the seven-note melody again. Okay. Now, if I take that and basically move it up a whole step, but if I want to make it fatter, drop it down an octave. Okay? So I'd always heard that Clapton had gotten his Layla opening riff from, or based it on, or was inspired by Albert King, the great blues guitarist Albert King, who was a huge influence on Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix. That he had gotten it from Albert's song "Ain't That Just Like a Woman" on his album "Born Under a Bad Sign" from 1967. And I mean, it's a seven-note thing, so I'm sure it's heard elsewhere in music. But Clapton was a huge Albert King fan, and in fact, one of the Cream albums, I think it might have been Disraeli Gears, they used to refer to it as his Albert King album because so much of his playing sounds just like Albert King. So the first seven notes were basically a whole step away and dropped down an octave. Bobby Whitlock, who was the drummer in Derek and the Dominoes, when he talks about the whole second section of Layla, which is the piano part with no vocal, he claims that the drummer in Derek and the Dominoes, Jim Gordon, who was a top session drummer back then, had stolen the whole piano melody from the second half of the song from his then girlfriend, Rita Coolidge. It's not that nice a thing to do to your girlfriend. The whole, that whole thing on the piano, which, it really has a lot of validity because Rita had a sister, Priscilla. I think she went by the name Priscilla Jones. She made a record with Booker T from Booker T and the MGs. And the name of the record is Time, not to be confused with the Pink Floyd track, but it's called Time. And if I can get it up, I just want you to hear the first few piano notes out of that song called Time. Let me see if I can get it here. I think there's even an interview with Rita Coolidge in recent years talking about how she was kind of ripped off with this all-time classic rock song. Here goes. Check it out. It's almost note for note. This is the beginning of the Priscilla Jones track. Okay, then the melody is completely different. But basically, there's a part in the piano section of Layla So I don't think there's any questioning that those two pieces are very, very similar. The riff for Layla, okay, one other thing before I move on to the riff. The whole song of Albert King's called "Ain't That Just Like a Woman," the lyrics are somewhat similar in mood to Layla itself, the vocal part, the first part. Albert King has the song, "There's nothing I can do, you leave me here to cry. Yeah, there's nothing I can do, you leave me here to cry. My love will follow you as the years go passing by." That's the title. "I gave you all that I own. That's one thing you can't deny. My love will follow you as the years go passing by." Well, when you look at the lyrics for Layla, I mean, I'm into lyrics, so other people are really just into the music. But in Layla, there's lines like, I tried to give you consolation when your old man had let you down. Like a fool, I've been in love with you. Turned my whole world upside down. It's almost like the similar sentiment, even though the chord structure and everything else is very, very different. The Albert King track is pretty much a minor blues. So anyway, getting back to the riff itself, apparently there were like 6 or 7 overdubbed harmony parts when the Layla riff moved along. Clapton did a lot of overdubbing. But the way I play it, the nearest approximation I can do on one guitar is okay? The really nice thing about the song, right from the get-go, is that whole riff is kind of D minor, B flat, C. Those are the underlying chords of that guitar riff. When the vocal starts with the first verse, what do you do when you get lonely? It just drops down a half step, which is kind of dramatic. Nobody's waiting by your side. I can't sing. Okay, so next time I'd like to show you exactly how to play my version of the riff. Again, it's all overdubbed parts by Clapton. But I just thought it was interesting, you know, not to knock anybody and not to question anyone's creativity, but it's interesting how one record from a few years before strongly influences a subsequent record. And in this case, you know, I had heard for years that the Layla riff was based on Albert King. I always assumed it was a guitar line by Albert, but actually it was just a vocal melody. In any event, check out those tracks. Check out, if you haven't already, Albert King, the album Born Under a Bad Sign, and check out Booker T and Priscilla doing the song Time, which has the same piano beginning as Layla has. Okay, hope you found that interesting. Next time we're going to work on how to play some stuff. Hang in there, keep playing, and have fun. Bye-bye.